Historic Yorktown, Virginia is one of the truly special places in the entire United States. With its historic significance, along with natural beauty and now fun things to do like beaches, restaurants, and hiking trails, it really is a wonderful place, and it's very obvious why you may want to live there. So in today's video, what we're going to do is talk about 3 neighborhoods just outside of historic Yorktown where you may really want to focus your home search if you're thinking about making a move to the area. So stick around and we're going to get right to it. My name is David Tortellini, and every single day I help people just like you buy and sell property in Yorktown and the entire surrounding area. If this is your first time to the channel, hit that subscribe button, and then when you're ready to get started, give me a call, shoot me a text, or send me an email. My team and I are here, and we'd love to help you out. So the way today's video will work is we'll talk about 3 different neighborhoods that are outside of Yorktown. Now, you can actually live in historic Yorktown. There is housing available there, but it's not a lot and it doesn't sell very often. So I think it would be a little disingenuous of me to do a video telling you that you can buy a home in historic Yorktown when the chances of that are really, really slim. So you can, of course, wait for one of those to become available, but who knows when the next opportunity will be. But in the meantime, there are great neighborhoods that are just outside of Yorktown where you'll have a very short commute to get in there to enjoy your free time. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump over onto the maps on the computer and we'll show you where each of the 3 neighborhoods are, show you what's kind of around them, and we'll talk about them a little bit. And then we'll hop in the car and we'll drive through the neighborhoods. I'll give you a personal tour of each one and we'll talk about the different amenities offered in each, price points, demographics, stuff like that, so you can get a really good feel for each of the different neighborhoods. And I tried to pick 3 that kind of give us a good span of different opportunities for living, from giant, luxury single family home down to some townhomes and starter homes. So we're going to try and have something for everybody in this video, and then we'll start off by talking just a little bit about what Yorktown is. Now, you may already be really familiar with Yorktown, and now you're doing the research to see what it would take to move there. But for those of you who aren't familiar with Yorktown, just know this is an immensely important historic area. This is where George Washington and his army joined forces with the Comte de Rochambeau and the Marquis de Lafayette, America's favorite fighting Frenchman for you Hamilton fans. Speaking of Alexander Hamilton, he was also there. And this is where they pinned General Cornwallis against the York River on the Virginia Peninsula and forced him and the British Army to surrender, which led to the end of the Revolutionary War. So this is just an immensely important historic area for the United States of America. And now basically what we have there are historic battlefields where you can get tours of the battlefields, you can walk them on your own, and scattered throughout the entire region are placards that show you what was going on there, who was there, what battles were fought there. And you can go and you can really enjoy the historic experience. Also, there is a 27,000 square foot American Revolution museum up kind of at the top of the hill heading up onto the Colonial Parkway. So you've got this amazing museum. It was called the Victory Center, then it underwent a major renovation a few years back, and now I think it's 27,000 plus square feet, just absolutely beautiful space. And so you can really enjoy the historic aspect. And then down along the water, you have a huge park and pavilion where people go out and fly kites and play frisbee and spend time with their families and run their dogs and have a lot of fun out there. And then it turns into kind of these crescent beaches where people, they do get pretty busy in the summertime. So a lot of people from all over the peninsula go to enjoy the beaches. There's a long mile-plus long boardwalk that you can walk, and then it's just filled with shops and restaurants. So there's some great places there like the Yorktown Pub, Larry's Lemonade, and then Water Street Grill, which is probably my personal favorite, and has a wonderful back section that's outdoors where you can kind of sit out, look out on the river, have a glass of wine, eat some good food, and really just enjoy kind of being in that atmosphere. And there are a few other restaurants there too that also you can kind of sit all along there and really enjoy the river. Now, of course, It is a little overpriced because it's a tourist destination, but it's worth it for the view. So you're paying for the food, and then you pay a few bucks more so you can enjoy the view. And then it's a really fun place. We go there a lot. Really easy to walk your dogs, let your kids play. And really just enjoy both the historic significance of being there along with just modern day fun things like being able to go get a really good beer, a glass of wine, and enjoy your afternoon. So, the Yorktown is also a place where you can buy a house. So, you can buy a house there, but they are also like some bed and breakfasts that are mixed in there too. So you never know if you're buying just a regular house or if you're buying a commercial property as well. And then there also are some other things mixed into the housing. Like there's a great little coffee shop called Mobjack Bay Roasters that has a great outdoor seating area. So there's a lot to do even away from the waterfront, just looking at the historic homes and other buildings that are there, and then getting up further away out onto the battlefields. But that does mean that outside of the housing that's right there on in Yorktown, that the next housing is beyond all the battlefields. So it is a little further away. And so those are the homes that we are going to talk about now. So I thought we could start really just by showing you exactly where Yorktown is in relation to the rest of Virginia. So we are down in the southeastern corner. Region is known as Hampton Roads. And down here you have your larger cities like Virginia Beach and Norfolk. Then Yorktown is located on the Virginia Peninsula. So here we have Hampton, Newport News. It's a little town called Poquoson. And then you have York County, which runs kind of all right here. But most of the housing in York County is right here. And then, of course, we have Yorktown, Williamsburg, and Jamestown, which form the historic triangle. So if you are a Revolutionary War or founding era history buff, this is the place to be. So much happened here. There is a lifetime of learning and exploration to be done in these three locations. And the great thing is you have Jamestown, which is basically kind of like a living museum, but is really more of a museum. And then Williamsburg, which I guess they call it a living museum too, which is kind of why I hesitated there for a second. And then, but it's an active town. It's an active town. It's great. It has Duke of Gloucester Street, the Capitol building, the governor's mansion, so much going on there, but it is all landlocked. And then you have Yorktown, which feels almost like a vacation destination with, with beaches and it being on the waterfront and all that. So very different feel to each one of these. And I think that's what makes the region so great, because if you come to the area and you go to one, it's not like if you go to one, you've now gone to all three. You really have to go to all three to really enjoy what they all bring to the table. And so if you like Yorktown, that is very understandable. So let's talk about Yorktown and where it is. So of course, this is Route 17. And this kind of runs up through Newport News and into York County here. And now now we're in York County, and it runs up, goes right over Yorktown that's the Coleman Bridge, and then that heads up into Gloucester. So this bridge does kind of feature prominently in the landscape now, but it is really beautiful. And if you're driving over it, not if you're driving, but if you're in the passenger seat, you can look over and get an amazing view of Yorktown. But if you're driving, don't do it, because it's actually a pretty busy bridge. So, all right. So you come up 17, and then you're going to hit Cook Road right here. And Cook Road is really kind of the road that most people who are coming from York County or Newport News are going to take to kind of come over and come up here. And then really, once you're onto Cook Road, you're kind of in the woods. So you're driving through the woods, basically, and you'll start to see battlefields on your right and left-hand side. Now, this is Surrender Road, and the battlefield where Cornwallis surrendered is over in this area somewhere. And then you have some other really cool features that are just along the way where you can kind of pull over, get your car, pull over, take photos, walk the battlefields, read the placards, and do all that. So because you have those, and then you have the historical tour road, which is mostly used by the tour guides, but in the off season, you can drive it yourself too. And it's a single little road, but it's neat. You're just kind of winding through the woods, and you'll come across placards that have a lot of information on them about who who was there at the time, what battles were fought there, encampments that were built. So a lot of really great information for self-learners to just go and kind of pull over. There are these little alcoves where you can pull over, kind of read about the region, wander through the woods if you're in the mood, and then kind of go back to your car and keep driving. So it's really great for, for the self-learner who wants to explore on their own. And of course, you can get tour guides and stuff too, so you can kind of go either route. But I think for people who live here, most of us just kind of go out and about and kind of explore on our own and learn over time, because we're not in a crunch to learn. So we can explore it and kind of enjoy our time as we want. So you'll come up Cook Road, and then you'll hit here, and you'll kind of have a choice to go right or left. If you go right, there's not a whole lot down this way. There's some stuff, but not. This is really where everybody spends their time. So you kind of take a little left, and there's a little "Welcome to Yorktown" sign, and you have a couple of choices really. Now, if you're more interested in looking at kind of the housing and some of the old buildings, and you want to grab a coffee and you want to see some of the bed and breakfasts and things like that, you can stay up here in the housing area, and there's a whole lot to enjoy about this space. And so you're going to end up walking around really photogenic homes and really kind of special living situation up in this area. And so you can kind of wander around there, and there's a lot to do. And then, but if you come down this way, there's like a parking lot right here, and then you get to the Yorktown Victory Monument. Now, this kind of comes by surprise, I think, and it is gorgeous. It's absolutely towering. I probably should have checked, but it's probably 100, 150 feet high. It's huge, and it's absolutely stunning. So you can come see the Yorktown Victory Monument, walk around there. There are beautiful views over the water from the monument. And then after you've seen that, there's a really cute bread and breakfast right here that I just love looking at. So it's kind of right on this corner here. And then, but then you can come down, and you have a few options here. So there's parking down here, probably maybe about 100 parking spaces. So there's quite a bit there. And that's really if you want to go to that picnic area I mentioned. So you can come down here, picnic with the family, let the kids play, throw the Frisbee, all that fun stuff, let the dogs run around a little bit. And, it's not really a busy place. On the busiest days, you might have 20 or 30 families there, but it's a huge location. So it's very spread out. People never feel like they're on top of one another. But it's all riprap here, and you can just go and get the most beautiful views of the York River. So, of course, we have the York River here that leads out to the Chesapeake Bay. And from there, you can come in, and you can you have a big fishing pier here, and you'll start to see the beaches. So then you start to see the beaches. Then you get to like Yorktown Pub or Larry's Lemonade. So Larry's Lemonade is a restaurant now, but it's named after a drink by a brewing company called St. George Brewing. And Larry's Lemonade is how they make all their money. Their beer is okay, but Larry's Lemonade is their claim to fame. They sell it at Busch Gardens and make a ton of money. So good for them. And you have all the beaches here, and then you'll also start to see, across, there's going to be like a hotel. And as you come further up, you get into kind of the shops and restaurants like Water Street Grill, where you can sit outside and enjoy a meal and a glass of wine. And when I went by to get a little footage of this area, it was cold out, so they had the plastic kind of down over the outdoor space. But you can normally, especially during the nice months, it's open, it's wide open, and you can sit outside, have a gorgeous view of the river, get some good food. And there are a couple other restaurants along here that you can do that as well. Or across the street, you can get an ice cream at, I think it's a Ben and Jerry's. And then there's also a big field here where they do a farmer's market every Saturday. So there's a lot going on in Yorktown. The farmers market's really fun, very family friendly. Get some good local produce, some food from other vendors, and of course it's a little bit more of a market too, so you can buy some fun stuff too. So there's a whole lot going on in here that you can enjoy either down at the beach or kind of coming up into the historic housing. And as I mentioned, These don't really sell very often. And when they do, I feel like a lot of times it's kind of we call less than arm's length transactions. People kind of already know who their buyer is going to be. So you come here, and so once you're through kind of the main, kind of, I don't want to say touristy, yeah, I guess kind of, but the active area. This is really the active area. Then you can, this green line here is a trail, kind of your boardwalk that runs all the way through here, and then you can get up to the American Revolution Museum. So you can see just by this gray area how big this is. I mean, 27,500 square feet. It's massive, big parking lot here. So you can go to the American Revolution Museum. You can go to Waterman's Museum, which is a little more quaint and has a little gift shop in it. So you can do that. And you can really follow these trails, and it really brings you up to the Colonial Parkway. So real quick on the Colonial Parkway, gorgeous scenic drive where you can kind of drive up along the York River, through the park, and then it'll really bring you right into Williamsburg. So if you want to go straight from Yorktown to Colonial Williamsburg, that's how you do it. And then it'll take you straight down back along the James River to Jamestown. So this is really just a popular scenic drive. Great for cyclists. People get out on their motorcycles on this road too, but this is really, you know, if you're a cyclist and you want to be, and you go from Yorktown all the way here through Williamsburg and down and back, that's the thing you can do. And it's beautiful. You know, you really have to get on it to really enjoy it. And there's a lot of places where you can pull over along the Colonial Parkway where you can really kind of enjoy some of the views and a little bit more of the history of what's going on there. And that all wraps around the Naval Weapons Station. So you are not allowed to go on here. So just know that. So that's kind of important to know, but it's also cool because you can see ships kind of getting loaded up here. There's a big kind of rectangular shaped, square shaped pier out here. And then you'll see large ships kind of docked in this direction. So pretty cool to see those while you're here. If you're not from the area and you don't see the ships all the time like we do. So there's also a Coast Guard training center down there. So that is one of the things that makes Hampton Roads unique, is that we do have all 5 branches of the military, because we also have the U.S. Coast Guard Training Center. So very, very interesting and cool place to be. So yeah, so this is Yorktown in a nutshell. And now I think we should kind of go down on the map and start talking about the neighborhoods that I want to talk about. So let's dive into Marlbank. So this is Marlbank. And what makes this so unique is this is a neighborhood of about 500 homes, but it was built in 2 phases. So you have Marlbank Farm that was built in the 1950s and 60s, and you have Marlbank Cove, which was built in the 1980s. And these kind of 2 separate neighborhoods really come together to form one big, very popular neighborhood. And you're going to find that the price points here are a little on the higher end, but York County is a pretty expensive place anyhow. So for York County, they're fairly reasonable for what they are. But this is a big, beautiful neighborhood. And what I want to do is get in the car and we'll go through Marlbank Cove first, and we'll talk a little bit about that. And then we'll go to Marlbank Farm. All right, let's do it. All right, so now we're in the car and we're driving through Marlbank Cove. And as I mentioned, this is a neighborhood that was built in the 1980s and kind of into the 1990s as well. And what you're going to see here is this is one of the first neighborhoods in the area that really had these big luxury brick homes. So that's what really sets this area apart, is that you can really get a home upwards of 5,000 to 6,000 square feet, with the majority being probably between 3,000 and 4,000. But this is where you got those big, 2-story entryways, large yards, and just that modern, what we would consider to be that modern luxury home. And it's become a very popular neighborhood because, at the high end for a sales price in the Cove is about, in the last year, it's like $875. So obviously that's an expensive house. But most of them are going to be in the kind of in the 6s. That's a pretty common price point, 600,000 to 700,000 to be in that way. And these are a lot of just really beautiful neighborhoods. Now it is in an HOA, and you kind of would expect that with a neighborhood like this, but it's inexpensive. I think it's only about $55 a month. And that does give you access to both of the pools in the community. So the pools are very important in Marlbank. The swim team is extremely popular. It seems like it's the thing that all the kids in the neighborhood do, and it's a huge part of the social scene for all of Marlbank. But it's interesting because in Marlbank there aren't really a lot of waterfront communities, or there's a lot of waterfront homes, I should say. And when we go over to Marlbank Farm, you're going to see that there are quite a few. So, here in Marlbank Cove, again, big luxury properties, beautiful. Now they are now 30 years old, 30 to 40 years old. So some of them need some modernizing, that's for sure. But at this price point, usually if you are in this price point, you can probably also do the updates to make it your own, or, maybe you don't really want to update it because it's in a way that you already like it, because that's what your current house looks like. So it's going to be totally up to you. But I do think that this is a neighborhood for people who are looking for that luxury feel. So let's go over to the farm now. All right, so we're here in Marlbank Farm, and you can see we started off kind of at the pool, actually. But Marlbank Farm is not part of the HOA. So if you want to join the HOA as a member, as a resident of Marlbank Farm, you can. And that's great because, as I mentioned, like the kids all play together at Marlbank, at the pools, and the community is really very integrated. But I think joining the HOA is part of that. They also have some annual functions that are really popular among the entire community. So being a part of the HOA gives everybody access to those. But what you're going to also see here, and I'm sure you've seen it so far, is these 50s and 60s homes have more of that kind of like almost mid-century modern sort of look to them. They're not like a standard brick rancher that you would find in much of the rest of the area. But so you're going to find some homes here that are going to be closer to like 400 or 500,000. And a lot of these are maybe a little bit bigger than they look like as we drive by. But so there aren't really any small houses in the neighborhood. But entry level will be about 400, and then but the interesting thing about Marlbank Farm, as I mentioned, there are some waterfront, and there are some beautiful waterfront properties. In fact, the last two sales in the neighborhood between $1 and $2 million were in Marlbank Farm. So you get the $1 million plus water homes, and then you can also get on the water for in that $700,000 to $900,000 range too. But then you can also get down to just some more standard living in the 4s and 5s, and where you can get an absolutely great home in Marlbank Farm. Okay, now we're back on the map, and I want to take it in a totally different direction now and talk to you about Riverwalk townhomes, and those are right here. So you can see Yorktown is right there, and that is what I think is so special about this neighborhood, is that if you are looking for a low maintenance, no maintenance type of lifestyle, obviously you don't want to go to Marlbank Cove and go buy a 5,000 square foot home on an acre. That's probably just not going to be what you're looking for. So this is the exact opposite of that. These are great townhomes, and you can really get right out here on Old Williamsburg Road and walk or bike and be at the museum in probably less than 10-minute walk, and you can be in Yorktown in 20 minutes. So I mean, it is really great for walkers and cyclists, or anybody who wants to be able to come down here, not get in the car, have a couple glasses of wine, walk home. I mean, really just a truly amazing little location. And this access road, not a lot of people use it. So, it's pretty easy. This one gets used kind of a lot, but right here, Old Williamsburg Road, it's pretty quiet. So you really are able to kind of just get out here, grab the dog and go for a walk and go all the way to Yorktown. So really cool little neighborhood. And so why don't we do this? Let's hop in the car and I'll show you around. Alrighty, now we're in Riverwalk Townhomes, and this is a community of about 230 homes. And they started building this in 2008. They didn't finish till 2014 because the housing crash really slowed down just about anybody who was building anything around that time frame. I think, if the market had held steady, these would all be built in 2008, 2009, they'd be done. But the good thing for you now is that means there are even some newer homes. So, I mean, I know that's not a huge difference, 2008 to 2014, but still 6 years of ownership could mean the difference between whether or not it's time to replace that HVAC unit. So let's take a look at kind of the price points and everything too. So Everything in the neighborhood recently has been selling for between 280,000 and 315,000. So they're not inexpensive, but they're also not, they're approachable. These are not crazy expensive places that are going to break the bank for a lot of people who are, particularly those who are selling single family homes in other areas, because a lot of the people who relocate here are coming from DC, New York, Massachusetts, and even California. So we're starting to see a lot of people come back to the East Coast. And of course, those markets are all much more expensive. So people who have been able to sell in or buy into these neighborhoods are often coming with cash from a sale of a home, or we have a lot of retired military members here who are bringing in good pensions. And with that military retirement, they can easily live in this neighborhood. So, but everything in here is 3 beds, 2.5 baths, and it's also between 1,500 and 2,000 square feet. So not too small, but also not too big. So if you are downsizing from a single family home to this, it's manageable. You're probably going to have to sacrifice a few things to get down to this square footage, but it's very livable, plenty of space. And, but also in this neighborhood, there's a lot of military in the neighborhood because Fort Eustis is 10 minutes down the road. Naval Weapons Station is right there. So you're going to get really kind of, a mix of people who are here, as you're going to get the kind of retirees who want to be near Yorktown, but you're still going to get active adults and, and families as well. And, coming with this neighborhood is a $155 per month HOA. And, it's fairly reasonable, especially for kind of what you get, being that there's ground maintenance, but not in your backyard, which we'll talk about, but there's a great pool here and clubhouse. We have a daughter who will come and play with a friend here, and they love it. And so it's a great pool, good community feel to it. And I think that's one of the really nice things about it, is that really a lot of times in townhome communities, people can be very standoffish in other locations in the area. But here, really nice community feel. I think the people who want to be here are really engaged in the neighborhood. I did mention backyards. One of the things I like about this neighborhood is that the homes do have backyards, and they're not huge, but they're big enough to let the dog out, go hang out with some friends, do a little grilling, whatnot. But they're also small enough that you can paver patio the whole darn thing if you want. If you're looking for the no maintenance lifestyle, just do a big paver patio and you're done. And we do have a friend that did that, and it's awesome. They also happen to have a bit of a wooded view, so a really nice, serene place to live. So for a townhouse community, be this close and be really within walking distance of historic Yorktown, I think this is a really pretty area with modern homes, nice layouts. Some of them are very open. Others just have more of like a nice flow to them without being too sectioned off. So I think the interior of these homes are nice and modern and give you the feel that you're looking for to engage with both your family and friends when they come to visit, and have an elegant feel to them. So overall, I think this is just a really nice neighborhood for a townhouse community. Okay, well, we are back on the map, and I want to show you a neighborhood called Edge Hill. So Edge Hill is right over here. You might be saying, wow, that's right across the street from Marl Bank. Yep. So anyhow, because there aren't a lot of housing options, if you want to be near Yorktown, this is a great neighborhood. And what I like about this neighborhood, and why I wanted to save it for last, because this is the most diverse neighborhood of the three. So you can get an entry-level home in here, but you can also get a large luxury home. So this is a neighborhood of about 500 homes again, so very similar in size to Marlbank, but this is going to be a neighborhood where you can get in for in as low as the 175,000 is the lowest sale in the neighborhood recently, but that was a foreclosure, that was a piece of junk. But mostly you're going to be looking at homes that are selling in the $300,000 to $550,000 range. So really approachable, good neighborhood. And but you know what? Before we get in the car, let's do this. Let's show you a few things that are going on down 17, so you know what you're nearby. So there's a nice plaza here. Food Lion is the major grocery store chain in the area. but then there's also like a little Mexican restaurant. There's like a Great Clips haircut place. This Starbucks right here happens to be my favorite Starbucks in Hampton Roads because it has the best seating options. So if you're like me and you meet people at Starbucks, the seating here is fantastic. Parking's not great, but the seating is wonderful. And there's a tropical smoothie in there too. So if you happen to be a fan of that. But you've got a nice plaza here. There's not a ton going on up and down 17, to be honest. Like, you kind of go through here, there's not a lot going on, but then you get down here, there's Kroger, which is nice. Then there's also a restaurant called Bay Haven Bar and Grill that I'm a big fan of. Get the wings, they're fantastic. And you have Plaza Azteca, another Mexican restaurant. So you really are looking at not too much going on in the area, but what there is, they're really good things. And then also right here, as you enter, as you get into Edge Hill, there's a 7-Eleven here that's really nice. And that's really great. Just if you're coming in and out of your neighborhood, to have that gas station right there, just makes life easy. You never have to track one down. It's right there and you can grab it, and then you can either head up or down 17, depending on what you're going to do. All right, let's jump in the car. Let's drive around Edge Hill for a little bit. Alrighty, well, now we're in Edge Hill, and as I mentioned, this is a neighborhood of about 500 homes, and they can range in size from 1,200 square feet to over 4,000. So really a big span here. So if you're looking for an entry-level single-family home, you can get that here. And if you're looking for a larger luxury home at a great value, you can get that here too. And I think the thing with this neighborhood is that it's on the western side of Route 17, and almost all the housing in York County is on the York River side of 17. And there's something about that just kind of allows you to get homes in this neighborhood at a really good value. Like I just mentioned, most are selling for between $300,000 and $550,000. So that's really a great price for York County. I mean, if you go further down into York County into like the Tab or even Grafton area, an entry-level home might start at $350,000 to $400,000. So you can save $50,000 easy by being in this neighborhood. Now, it's also very unique in that they started building homes here in the 1950s, and then they built straight through the early 90s. So there's a ton of construction in the 60s and 70s. That's probably the bulk of it. But there's very steady building until the early 90s. And then even after that, they were still building every year up until 2015. So really kind of unique that you have this neighborhood with such a wide range of sizes of homes and such a wide range of age. I can't think of another area it comes even remotely close to this around here. And I think that really is going to give you the opportunity for, no matter what you're looking for, if you're looking for a single family home, you can find it in Edge Hill. And it's a great community, like there is a little community center, little community area. So it does have, of course, being single family homes in York County, there are a lot of families in the neighborhood. And, I'm not supposed to talk about schools, but if you go on a website like niche.com, you'll see that, all the neighborhoods we talked about today were zoned for Yorktown Elementary, Yorktown Middle, and York High. And, the elementary and middle school, both around 600 kids. And then the high school is like 1,100 to 1,200. So not small, but also not so big that your kid's going to get totally lost in the system, I don't think. And my wife was a teacher down at Seaford Elementary, which is just down the road a bit, for a few years. So we're really familiar with the school system there. But on niche.com, I think they're all A- or better. So there's really, if you go by that, then, really good schools in the area. And, you're able to kind of get kind of the home you want at what I think is a really good price point, be right by historic Yorktown, and really just between the three neighborhoods that we looked at today, really find anything that you're looking for. But yeah, so here in Edge Hill, just a lot of variety, really great location, backs up to Newport News Golf Course, and that's really nice too. So if you're golfing and you want to be in this neighborhood, you can be there in just a few seconds. All right, so there it is. That's Edge Hill. Okay, well, those are our 3 neighborhoods that are right outside of Yorktown. And I think we did a good job of covering different sizes and styles of homes, everything from, some more entry level and townhomes to kind of your mid-grade and up to your large luxury homes. So just know that if you want to live right by Yorktown, you can get pretty much whatever you're looking for, because even though there isn't a ton of housing right around Yorktown, there at least is enough variety that you should be able to find something that works really well for you. And so when you are ready to get started, my team and I are here. We would love to help you. You can give us a call, shoot me a text, or send me an email, and then we'll get started right away. And of course, we'll put some links in the description for you as well. That'll help you learn a little bit more about the area, as well as have some preset home searches for you if you are looking to start your home search in the Yorktown area. In the meantime, do me a favor and like this video, share it with anybody you know who may be making a move to the Hampton Roads area, and then subscribe to this channel because we're coming out with great videos all the time. My name is David Tortellini. I'm with eXp Realty. Thanks so much for watching.